Hello, Renee Flamont here, you guys. We talked about how they're going to make you think that you're going crazy. This is, in my opinion, one of the meanest things they can do. I can't stand any of the things that they do. We just talked about triangulation. But I feel like when they make you think you're crazy, and I mentioned quickly the band example because I was getting ahead of myself thinking of gaslighting. He has tried to triangulate her with the band. I have a band, we have a thing going on every weekend. I think she gets jealous, my friend. But I think that he makes her think she's crazy for thinking she has anything to worry about. I'm telling you right now, if I was seeing a guy for 2 years and he says, I can never see you on the weekend, swears he's not married, but kind of lets you know he's in a band, and there's no way on earth she's crazy for wanting to know more. I'm sorry, what? Never on a weekend? Ever? And you're going to call me crazy for thinking that's weird after 2 years? You're going to call me crazy for asking about if you're married? Are you sure you're not? You're going to call me crazy? Do you have a second family? You're going to call me crazy? Do you have a girlfriend with the band, which I think he's made her think he does? That's where I mentioned it last time, which I didn't really get into that. It might have seemed not related, but that's what he does with that information. You can't come, you wouldn't like it anyway. We're all up late till 3 a.m. and then he lists some big blast that they have like it's fun, but she can never come. Then he makes her think she's nuts for thinking that's not right. That's a huge no, that's not right. Yet he makes her think she's nuts. Gaslighting comes from the movie in 1944 with Ingrid Bergman, and he makes her think she's crazy. He makes her think she's insane. That's where the term comes from, okay? And there's been other movies, but that's where they say the term comes from. He makes her think she's insane. The reason I think it's one of the most despicable things that you can do is because it leaves a girl or guy feeling insane. You start to question your own mind. You start to question your own discernment, your own assessing things, your own logic, your own brain. That's some twisted thing to do to somebody. Now, I'm a mentally stable person, I would say. I've had a temper. I keep it at bay, for sure. But in other words, I don't have any diagnoses or any of those things. What if somebody does? One of the things in mental illness, something under the umbrella, and you're making that person think they're insane? It doesn't take much. Remember, I made a couple of years ago now, 18 months ago, I made videos on the Dirty John series, and one of them's Betty Broderick. Talk about snapping. She killed them both. Look it up. Killed them both. He was making her think she was insane. She wasn't. He was having an affair. He did marry the girl. So she wasn't insane. We would rather them say to us, you know what? You're absolutely correct. They're never going to do that. And we stay on them and on them and on them. And I thought arguing for 6 hours sitting right there would make him finally say, oh my God, you're right. The only thing that made him say that and prove that I wasn't insane is when I found pictures. And then he had to swallow him calling me insane, and he had to say, all right, you were right about everything. Yeah, I know that. But in the meantime, for a year, you called me nuts, crazy, insane. And there's a lot of jokes about women being insane. And the truth is, if they're dating anyone with any toxic trait, certainly this disorder, and they're in the middle of being gaslighted or triangulated or devalued or getting word salad, they're going to feel like their hair is being pulled out of their head and you might act insane. In next video, we're going to talk about how you have to forgive yourself if you do that. Oh, I acted like a lunatic. Oh, I'll tell you right out. Lunatic. I forgave myself because I thought about what I was being put through that drove me there. I had one guy, you're going to think this is nuts, and I'm sorry if this is going to turn you off from me. He was being, let's just say, horrible. I don't even want to tell you this, but I did. And he ripped a dress of mine. And I said, oh, yeah? And he had those Chinese screens with like the bamboo and the rice paper in between. I put it on the ground and I stomped my little 5.5 foot in all the holes. That's insane. That's insane behavior. So what did I just do? I gave him evidence to now go tell people when he's smearing me, which we're going to talk about smearing. That's another word that comes up. When he's talking back, what did I do? I just gave him evidence because I acted insane. Him calling me insane, making me think nothing was going on, or making me think, you know what I mean, or ripping my dress. I think it was an accident, but I don't think it was. I mean, I'd like to think it was an accident, but I don't think it was, because he then apologized to me and he kind of indicated that he was telling me it was an accident, but that it wasn't. Like, that's making me think I'm crazy, because I kept saying, really? It's very intricate, but that's insane behavior for which I had to forgive myself. You can't help getting there when they are gaslighting you and telling you you're insane, because you end up blowing because you're trying to prove that you're not insane. And then oftentimes what we do is we're screaming that we're not insane. So what do we look like? We look crazy. They've driven you there, yes. Yes, they did. They called you names, sure. They made you nuts. You're screaming, begging for the truth, pleading for something. Yep. It's all part of the devalue. And you must understand that's their goal. To make you feel crazy. Because they can't take blame for anything. And they're also trying to set up evidence that you are crazy for them to use later when they break up or you break up with them. They know it's going to dissolve. Every relationship they ever have dissipates. I don't care if they're married 15 years. They've been out the whole time behind the back. That relationship's not really a relationship. Everything they have breaks down eventually, even if they stay with the wife, like I said, for 15 years. They're staying with her, but they're going with all these other people, and they're telling the wife she's crazy for thinking it. So the wife is sitting there thinking she's lost her mind. And she might act a little nuts sometimes. But they push us there. Now, I am a firm believer in, now I finally understand I could have controlled any reaction I've ever had. I should have, for sure. And I wanted to mention this because I want you to control it. I gave that person power when I reacted that way. And he laughed. He enjoyed it. He could get another one. No big deal. It wasn't anything custom made. No big deal. He probably got on Amazon and ordered another one right away. And I feel like it's a shame for me that I let them think that they had that much power over me. That's my motivation now for not reacting that way again. And I hope if I'm ever triggered by somebody telling me you're crazy, that I have the power to not react. Because the only thing we can do is not react. That's the biggest way you can get to them. And I know it's impossible. Somebody's calling you names. I wish I said, you're absolutely correct. It's all me. Bye-bye. And I never wasted a breath or a foot stomp or a tear or a screaming session or going berserk. You're not going berserk. If you think something's awry, I'm not saying there aren't paranoid people. There are. I know those kinds of people too. But if you found something and you know something and you're looking at the truth, you're not crazy. The question is, do you want to stay anyway? If you found out your first disaster date, do you want to stay anyway? Do you want to think that you're losing your mind because you don't want to leave this person? So sometimes that happens and you think, maybe I am going nuts. He said he was bowling. All right. I mention it because I want you awake, and I want you to at least think about they are given no power if you don't react. If you don't react berserk like they're trying to make you do, they have no power. They're trying to make you act crazy so they can talk to you about your crazy behavior. And guess what you're not talking about? What you found out. Because now the subject has turned into, look at you. Look at how you behave. You always do this. Last time you did this too. I can't handle your behavior. You can't handle my behavior. You just found out something and now you're acting berserk and they're telling you they can't handle your craziness. I wish we could all have the wherewithal to just go, oh, well, I guess that speaks to me of what your character really is. It's impossible. I know that. I know. But I want you to have it in the back of your mind. The more I react, the happier they are. The more I react, the happier they are. It's all fuel for them. Being how do you say, fawned over by others is fuel for them. Being screamed at by you is fuel for them. Why? All of these things indicate to the narcissist that they have controlled your reaction. They've controlled how you felt and reacted at that time. What they would have no idea what to do with is if we didn't react. They didn't faze us anymore. They were powerless around us, and nothing happened. Like right now, if that narcissist came back into my life, any one of the ones I've known, they would have zero effect on me. I would not be good supply for them. They would get zero fuel from me. I'm not fawning over them. I'm not upset. I've accepted the characters that these people are, and I don't want them around me. If they happen to be around me, a peripheral narcissist, say family, friend, whatever, then I just deal with it by, I don't engage with those people anymore. I won't do it anymore. And they don't know what to do with that. I just wanted to mention it. Keep it in mind, you guys.